Welcome to the Mechanical Room. A Centrotherm production focusing on all things in and around the HVAC industry. And now, your hosts, Michael Sakaris and Matthew Price.
Welcome back to the Mechanical Room. It is a unseasonably warm November here, and we
feels like early fall.
We have a jam-packed show as always. Good guests, good pipe work and whatnot. Michael, seems like I don't see you too often. You've been out in the world here.
Man, you know, this is the time of year, right? This is kind of year end, the big push to shut down the year, close the year strong. It's time for planning for next year. We've got a lot of events going on. I was up in Canada for a engineering builders show last week.
Did you have any poutine while you were there?
Actually, yes, and I will give Jordan a picture. It was fabulous.
Yes.
Poutine. I went to Montreal, so none better.
This particular place, did they do anything special, or was it just excellent?
It was just savory, juicy. You know, it was just wonderful.
Just like an extra little shot glass of gravy on the side.
Yeah, you can almost drink that damn gravy, like put it in a mug and drink it. It's that good. It was excellent.
You could run it through a condensate neutralizer.
You could. Well, no, not a neutralizer. Because then, you know, you're
neutralizing all the taste.
Yeah, you're taking the taste out. But it was a wonderful portion of poutine.
When you had the poutine, was that part of? Was that a starter? Was that your meal?
Yeah. So it was my first day up. I had a little bit of time between getting to Montreal and setting up for the show. So
that was the Contech show.
It was the Contech show in Montreal. So I Googled poutine near me.
I can't believe it, but that's amazing.
I did. And it took me to a burger joint that had really good poutine reviews.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of the place, but
obviously it did not a lasting impression.
Poutine is like a big portion,
yes.
But I felt like a burger. I didn't want like just a plate of poutine. So I said, "Can you make me like a side?" And they're like, "No, I can't." And I said,
"Sorry, this comes in bucket only."
Yeah, bucket only. So I said, "Come on, just give me a side of fries. Give me the burger, side of fries, and just make it a la poutine." And they said, "We'll take care of you." What they really did, they did take care of me. They gave me a full portion of poutine and a full double burger. So it was, and charged me not more. So
well, I mean, it is Canadian dollars, so virtually free.
Virtually free.
That plastic play
excellent.
money,
Yes.
that currency is not carrying right now.
No, it is not. It has lost a little bit of its value.
How was the Contech show?
It was actually quite good. We got 30 plus good engineering leads. It was our first time we did it. And it was, I think, well worth the time and effort to do it. Spent some time with our rep up there, Lambert and Beijing. Had a fun few days. It was great.
Excellent. Did you, aside from the poutine, any other sights and sounds of Montreal that were, I mean, you've been there many times.
Yeah, you know, it was a pretty full schedule. You know, day one was meeting with the guys and setting up the event. Okay. The next day was full event from beginning of the day till end. We grabbed a dinner. The next day we did some planning and then drove back and was on the phone the entire ride on the way back.
Oh, all right. Yes, as you were. I think I probably got in there for a couple minutes in there.
You
did. Bend your ear a little bit.
Lining them up.
I mean, I like to call and check in just like we're old friends. I don't like to talk about the the budgets and sales figures and CRM and stuff. I'm more like,
we need to do a journey on the event.
No. We're going back to this work stuff again. I'm much more interested in did you see the clips from the Iron Maiden show from the other night?
I'm always keeping an eye on the Iron Maiden show. Getting ready to go to the Man of War show down in Brooklyn.
Oh, that's right. That's coming up. That's coming in
month, the 30th.
You and Antti, right?
Me and Antti, the two of us.
Are you gonna dress like one of their covers, perhaps?
No, but you go to a Man of War show, you got to have a Man of War shirt. That's so I had to buy Antti a Man of War shirt. I had one.
Are they risque like their covers, the shirts?
You can get them pretty risque, but I went since I'm going with my daughter. For God's sakes, I just picked for me, I got the hammer and the Man of War logo.
Has she seen these covers?
No, but she's heard the songs because I often play my best of Man of War, mixtape, if you can call it that. But it's not a mixtape. It's on.
The immediate association that this is, we talked about catheters later on in this interview, et cetera, et cetera. When I think about Man of War, I think about cod pieces, essentially.
They are like a Viking metal band, so that goes, sword, sorcery, dragons.
but
the bunch.
they're particularly known for muscular cover art where they're clad in loincloth, codpiece type stuff.
Indeed.
And it's very homoerotic, really.
Sure. Yes.
I mean, do you think that does the homoeroticism add to their music for you?
No, it really doesn't do anything for the music. I'm in it for the music.
You're in it for the music.
Yeah.
I mean,
not the imagery.
What do you think they're going for in that marketing?
Men. They're definitely, playing to men's,
aggression. Like
yeah.
if I attend this Manowar concert or I buy this album,
Yes.
I too will be a tanned, muscular Viking.
Just like me.
It's interesting. I got to think about other albums where it's like if I want to emulate the cover. You know what I mean? Like I want to be that guy.
I wouldn't pick a Manowar cover to emulate.
I mean, that's pretty. Certainly the Viking lifestyle doesn't really necessarily suit me. The outfits might be comfortable, I
don't
guess.
want to see you in one of those outfits. No, thank you.
Squid Games 3, the Manowar version.
Maybe we can get them to play.
Just grease everybody up and just everybody attack each other with swords.
There you go. With that said, it is a good time to move on from this subject matter. And let's get to show us your...
Show us your codpiece.
It is that time again. Always a fun thing to do. Look into the industry and find an install.
Your favorite.
It's always my favorite. A little bit different. The pipe this time is not gray. It will be green.
Show us your ductwork.
Show us your green flexible pipe ductwork thingy.
Yes, indeed.
So who won this month?
Well, it is Dispatch Plumbing. So congratulations to Graham and the team up in DC. We're looking at it right now. This is a smattering of really nice laid out air distribution. As you can see in the green ductwork here, this is of course the Air Excellence system. This is clearly from the middle of an installation. The house doesn't have any drywall. There's no ceilings and stuff, which is the opportune time to run these flexible ducts in a very specific, not specific, but customizable way, I suppose is a better way to describe that. So throughout these photos, you can see the D boxes. You can see the flexible liner kind of twisting and turning its way through the gap in the ceiling, I guess that's what
I believe it's the space between the ceiling and the attic.
There you go. Right. So
the roof. So the attic space.
So there's an area in between these floors, which gives ultimate freedom to really deliver supply and draw the return air from the different living spaces, right? So we don't know where this is yet because the house is still under construction, but these green ducts, they're bringing clean air to the bedrooms and living rooms. They're drawing the stale air from your kitchens, your bathroom type of stuff. And it's really interesting to see it at this phase of the game because the house is really just in frame.
And think about it as an installer. If you are running trunk throughout the house.
You mean mass flow?
Mass flow, metal ductwork, trunk and branch. Just think about all that, metal work that you would have to do versus tapping into a D box and just simply pulling some flexible duct into the room that you need. So
and
big time saver, simple to install. The other thing that really drew my eye to this was the fact that Dispatch may have not been their may have been their first one. He actually name drops Ben at HVAC Strong and Kurt at Pacific Clean Air, who is a wholesaler.
Both of whom
have been on our show.
Have been guests on the Mechanical Room.
Indeed, it's a tight little world.
We got to get Graham on here next.
Has he ever been?
He's not.
No, then
we got to get the windmill himself.
We should get him on here. He would be a good guest. So the world kind of comes together, right? First time installer with a multiple time installer and our wholesaler who supplies. It's getting windy in here, man.
I'm just doing it. Congratulations, Graham. Congratulations, Dispatch.
Thank you for showing us your pipe.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, safe venting enthusiasts the world over, and today, refrigeration experts. We welcome in Ty Smith, our guest today on the Mechanical Room. Michael, say hello to Ice Master Ty.
Good morning, Ty. Welcome to the Mechanical Room. Everything about Ty is about cold. He's the ice master. He does refrigeration work, and he lives in Alberta. The coldest I've ever been in my entire life has been in Alberta.
Luckily, he makes up with it with such a warm and inviting personality.
Indeed, he does.
Mr. Smith, welcome to the Mechanical Room.
Welcome, sir.
How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
So today's a state holiday, right? Or Dan calls it a stat holiday. Stat holiday? Is it state
holiday? Yeah.
What is the difference between stat and state holiday? What do they call stat holiday?
I don't know.
That's just a Canadian shit?
Stat is basically just, we get about one a month where we're only on a 4-day week. We get one day off, usually a Monday or Friday. I don't know what the difference between that and a state holiday would be.
Or do we move to Canada?
I don't know. It's a very good
You've
question.
got Christmas, Boxing Day, Family Day, Victoria Day, things of that nature.
And what is today?
Today's Remembrance Day.
And that is essentially, so is that corresponding exactly? Is Remembrance Day your version of Veterans Day, essentially?
Yeah. Remembering the end of the First World War.
Oh, so it's actually, so it's Armistice Day in the true way, the 11th month, the 11th hour, the 11th day. However, in the States, we now have just made that bigger into just general Veterans Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
This has been your history lesson.
It's inclusive to pretty much all veterans, and then we have ceremonies that will be at 11, and there'll be a moment of silence at 11:11.
Gotcha. I didn't even realize.
Do we do it? Well, it's not 11:11, and it's 11:11 here almost.
I didn't even.
Not in Alberta.
I didn't even know that Canada had a military.
What?
Hey, we got 3 subs.
They're the guys with the red jackets that ride the horses, right?
Yeah, the
those are the
Royal Mounted Police.
Those are the guys that pull you over on the highway.
Right.
Yes.
My car goes a little faster than a horse.
Oh, I entered into Canada. I entered into Canada this past week with a car that, will I get in trouble by putting it out there?
Maybe.
My car had failed its inspection.
Ooh.
And I drove into Canada. I was afraid that I would have to go back to the Plattsburgh airport, rent a car, and then go back into Canada.
The ghost of Tim Horton is turning over in his grave.
I had myself a Timmy's coffee and a maple frosted donut.
All right, that's enough crapping on Canada for a minute there.
Canada.
Me too, actually. Me as well. Ty, welcome to the show. That was a lot of preamble there. We were hanging out 2 weeks ago, I guess, and you were showing me some pictures. Let's turn this back to the tech stuff and let our guests actually get a word in here. I'm not super familiar with the realm of your expertise. So I wanted to give you a couple minutes to talk about your resume and like a day-to-day kind of thing and what it is you're working on, because we're a heating company here at Centrotherm and you primarily do refrigeration stuff. So that's a whole different kind of mechanical room. So just how did you get where you are today, and what is the day-to-day like for Ice Master Ty?
So I've been in the trade about 15 years. I've worked for about 4 companies total. The majority of my career has been in the cold space. I did 6 years almost exclusively working in grocery stores. So anything you touch that's cold in a grocery store, that was what I worked on. Now I've moved into more cold storage and warehousing. So very large spaces, the size of your factory, and we can keep that below 32 degrees consistently. I got into it, honestly. I had one of my wife's friends did it, and basically he offered up, you should come and try this. It's right up your wheelhouse. So that led into me getting involved in this. I'm day to day for me right now. I really only have 4 main facilities that I take care of. Each one of those is between half to a full city block of refrigerated space. So the demands on keeping all of that consistent and running are pretty high. I have some very unusual products. I have some ice banks, which basically they just make ice to store potential energy. So during high demands, they melt the ice in a water tank. The biggest tank there is 30,000 gallons. And we make If you were to remove it and weigh it, probably about 4 tons worth of ice inside that tank.
Why do you have such a, what's the purpose of having that ice there?
When you change state from a solid piece of ice to water, you don't actually change temperature, but you do have, I think it's 170 BTUs that have to be used to make that change. So they use it for actually rapidly cooling cheese in a brine system.
Okay.
So we can
You
keep
showed
a
me some
consistent
photos
temperature
of the
without needing as much horsepower to pull it all down to temperature.
When I was up in Calgary, he showed me some photos of the cheese plant. Maybe you could email a couple over and we'll drop them in. Or if you have any interesting videos, we could add them to this so we can get a look at it. I mean, he was showing me some interesting. What did you showed me, like a thing where they make the cheese curds, and it was like, I mean, like a huge bed of cheese essentially. Where is the refrigeration that you're working on? Is underneath it, or is it just the whole room? Or, I mean, walk us through the cheese plant. I'm just I'm just so fascinated by that.
Where they're doing the curds and everything, we don't do any refrigeration on that side of it. That's basically, they want to warm it to have the cheese develop. What we do it for is kind of to finalize to start the refrigeration, and they put it in I can't remember the type of cheese, but it gets a salt brine on the outer side. So they immerse it in a tank of salty water, and we chill that water. We also they've got 4 silos with about 60,000 gallons of milk in them, and we chill those.
And that's the same thing, right? What does that bigger complex look like? Is it the milk? Is the dairy? Is the milk coming in to make the cheese? Is the milk being harvested? That's not the right word. Squozen from
in
the
the middle of
stores?
the city, and the milk's brought in by trucks. So they're basically everything from whole milk to completion. They don't have any of the cows or any of that sort of side of it.
You ever work on refrigerator trucks?
No, up here that's a completely different trade. It's actually factored into automotive.
Yeah. Oh, so would somebody, just because you have more knowledge on this subject than we do, someone who's fixing those, are they also like a Red Seal person or how does that work?
I'm not sure if that one's Red Seal. It wouldn't fall underneath ours. Ours is basically, the easiest way is if it chills and it's bolted to the ground, it's kind of our stuff.
So what you're saying is if I want to get around these regulations, I have to make a cheese plant that is mobile.
That wouldn't be a very big cheese plant.
Cheese plant on wheels, and then I can just get these plugs from the automotive industry to work on my stuff.
It would be a boutique cheese plant.
I don't have to pay top dollar for these Red Seal Pros. Just get any Tom, Dick, or Harry with some reefer technology to turn wrenches on my cheese.
Well, the reefer guys are a little harder because they've got everything we've got, plus they've got a diesel engine that has to operate.
Oh my goodness.
So they're taking care of both sides of that. I've known a couple of guys that have transferred from transport refrigeration into regular refrigeration and HVAC.
I mean, those trucks can't get serviced at the normal plants, though. They have to go to a different location, right?
I would think it depends on what needs to be serviced.
Yeah, I guess
it's the diesel, it's a normal facility, but if it's the refrigeration, it's somebody that
We've
has
got a couple companies in town here that just specialize in the refrigerated trucks.
Okay, that's interesting.
They'll do everything from replace a tail light to fix their cooling unit.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. Now maybe this doesn't affect you at all, and again, I'm ignorant on this topic, but maybe it's just US. I don't know, this whole A2L switch thing, I'm sure you must be aware of it, even if it's only US. Does that affect you at all?
Yeah, that's going to be a big change for us. Any of the new refrigerants that are lower global depreciating, the volumes that we're using, we got a little more time, but we're going to have to look at that. And honestly, we're going to switch a lot to CO2 is where our trade's going to go.
Summarize the change to a moron who doesn't really understand what's going on. And so why, I mean, I hear a lot about this, but we're, like I said, a heating company, so it's kind of on the periphery, but it's certainly present. So what are the changes, and sort of what specifically, how does that affect you in going forward?
So it's going to be all the global depleting value that these refrigerants have. The analogy I always give everybody is you're going to have to get rid of your Ferrari and get a scooter and get to work at the same time. So the refrigerants aren't quite as efficient as other ones are. They have a flammable element to them, which means the controls are going to have to rapidly change so we can accommodate that. as well as a lot of our codes are going to regulate where we can put these plants, because now we're introducing a flammable gas into a building. So you have to have better ventilation systems, and where most of the big systems is a much more efficient gas. It just runs just the CO2, much more run completely different. We have a lot higher pressures, and a few other concerns.
So you broke up a little bit there, so I did miss a little bit at the end there. It sounds
It'll be a whole
to
new
me,
world, that's for sure.
it sounds a little bit to me like it's going in, I mean, the way you describe it, right? Ferrari versus a scooter and do the same thing. That sounds as though the new stuff is not as good, right? I mean, obviously there's got to be a rationale. What's the rationale to decide that I'm trading in my Ferrari or Lamborghini? I forget what you said, Ferrari, I think, for a scooter. Why are we doing that?
It's all going to be that global warming potential, that these are becoming a lot more organic refrigerants that won't have the damaging effect. So all our moms had big hair with the big hairspray, and then we heard about the ozone layer. Most of the propellants that were used in that was R12, which was a beautiful gas for everything. You could use it for freezers, coolers, hairspray, like it worked for everything, but it was terrible for the environment. So we got rid of that, and we got to another gas and to another gas, and we're just going through the process till where our systems, when they fail, are not so damaging to the ozone.
Okay, so that's the answer, is sustainability, green concerns, environmentalism. Yes. That's all. Now, set that aside, right? That's obviously something we need to be paying attention to. We certainly have some interesting climate stuff going on. I mean, it was like 83 degrees in mid-November, like the other day. I mean, that's kind of crazy. So, you know, climate stuff aside, is this less good for refrigeration? Forget about the environmental concerns. Are we going to a lower grade stuff, Ferrari to scooter? What's the impact outside of the environmental stuff? Is it just that these machines have to work that much harder now, or is it overall is it a step in the right direction holistically? I mean, I'm just sure. I guess I'm just trying to wrap my head around the entirety of it.
It's hard because the legislation's changing so fast. These gases are going to be gone, the ones we're using now, within 3 to 5 years. So we do have to adapt systems, and a lot of these systems are full retrofits to try and make them run with these new refrigerants. And we're also, in most cases, having to add extra horsepower, more compressors to a rack system, or liquid injections, subcoolers. There's a lot of components that we'll have to change to make these work. And I think that's where we'll start rolling more towards the natural refrigerants.
If I'm a dairy facility here in Albany, New York, and I have an old system, and 2 years from now, when the conversion is made, do I need to replace that entire refrigeration system, or is there a retrofit of some sort that would allow me to adapt?
More than likely to go to an A2L, you're going to have to change most of your components.
Okay. So for the component manufacturers, this is a nice boom coming, you know, as things fail.
It's going to be a big thing for techs too. We're definitely going to be running when all this starts going.
Is there enough techs? I'm actually writing an article for HVAC Tactical Magazine that's about, I have a deadline that I've got to try to meet, but is there enough techs that have the ability to accommodate all these change outs that's going to occur, or are facilities now going to be, you know, kind of waiting for techs to come in to do the work?
The long and the short of it is, no, there's not enough techs. There's not enough techs in the trade, period.
Right, and that's the part of what my article is about, is that. But yeah, but this is an interesting push on, you know, the workload that's going to come because of the change out.
Yeah.
Are you prepared to do 80, 90 hours a week?
For the right pay.
Unfortunately, one of my early journeymen told me that HVAC's a life, or HVAC's a job, refrigeration's a lifestyle.
Fair enough. I mean, do you think you would have a similar, if you were like an air conditioner tech and you lived in Phoenix, Arizona, you have a kind of a similar mentality, right? Because you just got to always, I mean, there's no off season anymore. You're just always doing it, right? I mean, so That's interesting. I mean, I wonder if that's. I feel like all HVAC techs probably have that because so Ty, of course, is working on giant dairy plants, massive situations, but someone like I don't know, Ben Thompson is putting in a furnace in somebody's cold house in Prince George. That's a pretty lifestyle situation too. If you're going to be fixing somebody's heat in the middle of the winter because they're freezing cold, I mean, I feel like everybody's got that kind of mentality.
Yeah, the biggest I see that in is the grocery stores because there's so much product and there's so little time when there's a failure. Like if one of my plants goes down, it takes a long time to heat 60,000 gallons of milk. Like you've got time to get parts and fix things, and you go into a grocery store.
Days, or how long are you talking?
Yeah, you could probably be 48 hours before that's critical.
Really?
Do you think that the market is prepared with equipment?
Having time to start pulling it out.
Is the market prepared with equipment to service the need of all these changeouts? Are the manufacturers stepping up and delivering these products?
We're not even. We haven't even got authorization for A2Ls in Canada yet. We're still waiting for it.
For Canada, I wonder how they're situated here, and I also wonder how distribution is adapting for that. Right?
Well, I don't know if he's the right guy to ask that because
in the US,
I mean, he's working on such large stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
you don't go to a supply store for basically anything, do you?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I go to the supplier for everything. I just buy a lot bigger quantities.
So,
Right.
I guess I'm thinking in terms of
much bigger units than the average.
Yeah, like a residential air conditioner might use 3 to 5 pounds of refrigerant. I've got racks that do 4,000 pounds.
That's a significant delta.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, so we're buying from the same place. I'm just buying a lot more.
Oh, all right. I guess that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, and of course the actual transactional elements are then different. You're not going with like a shopping cart with a couple of like clamps and things like that. You're having what delivered to the job site or
basket
pallets and pallets. I mean, how does this stuff even come in?
You can have it pallet shipped. Usually I just do the transport myself. I drive a 1-ton van because of the weight, and then my racking actually has full anchor tie down points for larger bottles.
So when we say larger, I mean, what are you talking about? We're talking about jugs, like barrels, or are you getting like just 1 gallons, or I mean, how does this even come in?
If I was in a facility, like when I did grocery stores, if we needed to transport that like up a set of stairs or somewhere inconvenient, we would get 30-pound bottles. They're about the size of a propane tank that you'd use on your barbecue.
Okay.
If we've got good access and we can use hand trucks and stuff, I usually get them by about the 100-pound bottle. They're 3.5 feet high, 1 foot round. 100 pounds of refrigerant in them, and another 30 pounds.
Yeah, you've seen them in a lot of like videos where they're spinning the bottles.
So they're pretty heavy to move around.
To get them in and out of the rooms.
So yeah, okay. So at 30 pounds, you were saying several thousand. We're talking like 150,
similar.
30 pounders, right? Oh, we're losing you.
I'd have that shipped to site.
Okay, interesting. That's fascinating. I mean, this is a whole other world. If
I was doing that, I'd only need a couple 100 pounds.
Interesting. Yeah, like I was saying, so this is all very, very new to me. So I'm super, super curious about just how it works. Everything obviously works together. Sometimes they work against each other, right? I mean, hey, you want to go shopping, you want your ice cream to be cold, but you yourself must be warm. So you got a furnace heat in the actual place, and you got the refrigerators. I mean, it's an interesting battle, I imagine. I bet you there's probably some times in which that furnace is like misplaced in such a way that it's throwing heat and it's like counteracting the refrigerator. Is that accurate?
Yep. And then we work with the HVAC guys, and a lot of them are a lot smarter than me on that. But we do have dehumidifications inside your grocery stores because otherwise you'd have too much sweating on your freezer doors and you wouldn't be able to open them. So it all plays together. I don't know a lot of people that can do everything well. There are guys out there that can do it. I really went down this path, and I couldn't do, a resi hydronic furnace or something like that, like Ben does. That's just out of my wheelhouse. It's not what I do in my daily.
So why did you choose what you chose, right? You came to, you wanted to be in the trades, you picked the path. Why did you go down that path?
Because his name was Ice Master already.
That makes sense.
The honest answer is I like to be scared.
You
It
like to be
was
scared,
the
as in
furthest
trying new
out of my
things, or-
comfort zone.
Yeah. Okay.
So actually, that's a
You know,
great
when-
segue. You like to be scared. I know what you do in your personal life in terms of the thrill seeking and the adventure stuff. We can put a pin in the refrigeration talk for a second to talk about Ty the Man.
Okay.
You can see it's a little blurry now because it's kind of coming up, but there's like a motocross magazine
I saw
or
that
something
in
like
there.
that over there.
Yes.
My
Oh
man
no,
likes to,
where is it?
the other side.
Yeah.
Look like a
No, that's
monster
a
truck.
1980s monster truck book I bought from the Scholastic Book Club that I still like.
It's still cherishing it. So that's like I said, a great segue. In addition to compressors and refrigeration, my man is a fan of motors of all sorts. So how when you're not making sure that my ice cream is delightfully chilled to the appropriate temperature, and that there's not enough and there's no humidity on the glass door, so I can clearly see the choices before me, be it Ben and Jerry's, Haagen-Dazs, Breyers, Edie's, Turkey Hill, Friendly's, Perry's. Sorry, I can just go name all the. I like ice cream.
He likes
I
ice
got
cream.
those. We don't have to edit this.
These are
I'll
these are
take your
names
word
I'm
for
sure
it.
you're completely familiar with because you're looking at these labels
For
all
me,
the time.
Chocolate. That's the extent of.
Well, but it could be Carvel. It could be, I mean, it goes on and on. So when you're not when you're not comparison shopping ice cream, talk a little bit about your off-roading, your motorsport stuff. I know you told me like a handful of things. I mean, you're always doing something thrill-seeking.
When the wife and I first got together, we got into street bikes and we got into touring. So we would do tons of stuff with that. That evolved into me getting back into four-wheeling and having a Jeep. I grew up with one. My dad had one through most of my childhood. That started as my wife's daily driver and was going to be something for a little bit of camping. Now it's on 4 inches of lift, 37-inch tires, lockers. It's pretty bulletproof. That then morphed into meeting a buddy of mine who owned a shop, which turned into me co-driving for an Ultra 4 car. That then turned into co-driving for a Razor for a while, and I've kind of got out of all of that racing, but still keeping with the Jeeping pretty hard. I just got back in September from a week in Moab, Utah. Took the family down there, threw my 4-year-old in the back seat. She absolutely loves being in the Jeep. Only kid I know you can shake down a trail on the roughest roads and she'll fall asleep in the car seat. So it's worked out well. Yeah. And I
think you need to
if I'm
break
not doing
down
that,
some
I'm
of
taking
those.
one of my friend's cars.
You used quite a few terms that I have no idea what that is. Types of cars and like
Razor? I don't know what the Razor is.
what exactly are you not racing, are you? Is it racing?
So with the Ultra 4 car and the Razor, they're off-road endurance racing. So kind of like the Baja 1000, but with a lot more trees.
So I don't know what that is. So that's a distance race. That's based on terrain. I mean, obviously it's not turning left like NASCAR. It's
So
what
the
exactly
Baja
is
is
that?
basically a race from California to Baja, Mexico, all off-road. The stuff that we used to do
road, the
was
guy bouncing around and the other guy with the map on the side, right? That's what I'm assuming.
exactly. Yep.
So that's you and your wife doing that, or are you with a team?
No, it was like me and a team.
Okay.
We
And
had
do you
there
change
was a couple
drivers?
buddies that did it all.
I mean, it's a long race, so you're swapping positions. You become the navigator. This person is driving. You switch off, or
Yep, you're sitting in the car for 10 hours.
are you? I mean, do you stop at a Buc-ee's along the way, or are you diapered up? Are
You'll get out
you?
of the car for 10 hours.
So what? So you got like a 2-liter Pepsi bottle, or
Catheter.
that's it, or a suit?
A roll-on catheter tucked down your pant leg.
No shit. That's
Yeah.
fascinating. That's
I never
And,
thought we'd get to that subject.
I mean, I did.
You don't need
I
any
expected it to
solid
be a lot
state
sooner,
for
honestly. That's interesting. So yeah, so you are just rolling it down there. That's part of the unit. Is there? I mean, when I picture motocross or something along those lines, NASCAR, anything like that, it's like a jumpsuit type of deal. Are you in a team uniform and the catheter is
No,
part
we
of that?
were not bankrolled. No, we were just in black suits.
Black suits. Okay, so the catheter just goes underneath. That's the only thing I'm going to be focusing on here is I know you said it's an external catheter. You're not catheterizing yourself, I don't think.
No.
Maybe that's the next step.
Rolls on like a Johnny.
I mean,
I'm speechless.
you can do performance enhancing catheterization somehow. I don't know what that means exactly, but that's fascinating. All right. I mean, what happens if you fill the bag up like one too many Gatorades and you gotta like you have a replacement? Like
It's like a twist
No,
off.
no, but no bag.
what's
bag.
that?
It's just a straw.
You learn something
Yes,
new
you do.
every day. I mean,
You also got to be really careful around the campfire after the race because some guys don't take them off and like to fill your boots.
I can only imagine there's some practical joke activity and things like that that can happen after the fact. We'll keep that for you know the director's cut.
The
of this
bloopers,
episode.
the bloopers cut at the end of the episode.
Hey, I tell you, every day is a school day, but it's not everything you want to learn.
Well, I mean, school has class clowns, right? You know, so listen, if I had bags of urine, I'd be doing weird stuff with them also. I mean, there's no question about it. I don't know what that would be, but
I don't want to know. I'm glad I'm not stuck in a car for 10 hours. with you.
yeah, well, hey, you know, I mean, I keep it interesting at least.
You do.
know.
You do
So-
indeed.
So okay, let go back into the tech stuff. I know I've seen you wear this very hoodie. You're featured in the forthcoming HVAC Tactical magazine. I'm curious about other brands, and that could be tool companies or manufacturers and stuff like that. So like to tie it back to us again, you know, not that this is a Centrotherm centric type of thing, but you know, we work with water heater companies and boilers and stuff like that. So these names are all familiar to me. I'm curious about, I mean, are you just using standard Milwaukee stuff when you're in there, or is there a separate set of tools that you need? What are the manufacturers, people that I've never heard of before? I want to hear the names that are second nature to you that I probably don't know about.
The majority of the tools I'm using are pretty close to what everybody else is using. So I got, you know, standard Milwaukee. Up here it's Canadian Tire, but you know, your Harbor Freight stuff where that applies, and Yellow Jacket, Testo, all those sort of ones that are pretty standard. Not much of it changes. That's tools that most of the guys in the industry haven't heard of. I don't personally have things like benders or flare tools or anything because it's just not anything that we work with. You know, some of my smaller pipes are 3/4, where a residential guy, that may be the biggest stuff he works with.
You say a bender, you talk about like one of those like REMS things that makes the 90s out of the copper?
Yeah, Navic's got a whole bunch that they've been doing a bunch of stuff with cordless and things like that. So it's pretty standard, the tool set that you need. Weird bigger things we use like lift tables and winch systems and some craneage, but it's pretty off the shelf stuff. Nothing too crazy.
Okay, that's interesting. You have anything else? Otherwise, I have one last question before
I
we
mean,
get.
I always, you know, it's on the refrigeration. Oh, did we lose the screen? No, there it is. On the refrigeration side, right? We spend a lot of time talking about, you know, hydronics and furnaces even, and, you know, boilers, water heaters and such. But on the refrigeration side, give me from your perspective as, you know, senior tech out there, what do distributors need to do a better job doing?
Oh, good question.
Especially, you know, on your side of the world.
My main distributor and supply house I use is pretty good for hampering everything. Some of our valves are pretty specialized, and we've noticed since COVID that there's not a lot of stocking of parts. They're being built to order, which isn't terrible in the States, but when I got to get something from Texas in a big rush versus having something at my supply house, it does detriment the job. I actually had a job an hour and a half north of me that I had to go to every day for a week because my valve was being manufactured and had to be shipped up. Where pre-COVID, that would be something I would expect to be in stock. So biggest thing for me is stocking, but
Okay, that's
the stuff I got is pretty weird too.
Pretty much
So
the same on the.
tell these
this side.
cheap bastards to put those POs in.
yeah,
Heard that, distribution? This is a message for all of you guys out there. I don't know who you use. Emco, I'm talking to you. Mosley, I'm talking to you.
Refrigeration, we
I'm talking
got
to you.
two big suppliers, one on each coast, and the East Coast is trying to come to the West Coast, but they do not stock anything. They are terrible to deal with that.
Yeah,
I think I know who you mean.
I think we do.
Yes.
I think we do. Okay, actually, so I had one more question after this, but I want you to tell your version. So I show up in Calgary,
Yes.
you know, hey, I'm
You
a
eat a,
foreign man in a foreign land.
You eat a fritter?
No, I had a crawler from Timmy's, you know,
Okay.
but that's not where we're going from here. So foreign man in
It's
a
all about
foreign
food.
land. I had to sample the wares of the local, you know, the local delights of Calgary, and Ty was so generous as to bring me a gift. And I'd like him to talk about that whole experience there at the Build X show, which did involve, you know, John Law a little bit. But I mean, we had a good time there, and I thank you again for that gift, sir.
Well, I just figured that there was some good Canadian hospitality needed to be done. You made the trip into Canada, and
There was a
you know,
pause there.
it's
Is there a reason why there was a
really
pause
only-
on the gift?
Well, I mean, we almost got
But
booted
there's
out
really
of the
only-
building.
there's really only two options if you're going to get gifts in Canada, right? You got to give them maple syrup or you got to give them whiskey. So I
Okay.
just happen to know where there's a really good maple whiskey. So I brought a
Can't beat
bottle.
that. A twofer.
A twofer. And you
Matt
know,
didn't want to check his bag, so we decided that we would sample the libations on the sales floor.
Oh,
the first one went
I'm
down
that went
quite
very
well.
Did you get spotted by the local enforcement there?
The second time, there was an individual that was lurking in the background.
The second bottle or the second drink?
The second drink.
Ah,
And I don't understand how he caught us. We were being super sly and sneaky. All we'd done is put him on the front display table, and everybody had put their logo decals on the glasses. And I think Matt might have been live streaming it at the time. So I don't know how he caught on to what we were doing.
Nothing really hidden there, I would say.
that was it. And I mean,
Dan was hauled out by his ear and told that that was the end of that, and we needed to put everything away.
and we at that point, listen, we had to ask for forgiveness, not permission. The guy said, you got, you know, essentially try me once, okay, try you second time, okay, also, and then don't do it a third time. So we were good boys after that.
Did you offer some to the?
We did. We did.
Did that work?
No.
It did not work.
And also, if you remember, there was that lady from the other booth who was like coming by. We tried to give her a little bit as well. And she's like, I haven't eaten breakfast yet. I was like, great, it'll go right to your head. You know.
It's got maple syrup in it. You know.
So that was fantastic. And Jordan, I will give you. I do have good footage of all of that. I wasn't live streaming, but I recorded the entire thing. So
Yeah.
we'll drop that in here because it is one of my favorite photos of Dan. He definitely looks like the cat who caught the canary.
Cheshire cat.
Oh no, yeah, well that too. But all right. So we've taken up a
I
lot of
think
your
it's going
time.
to be my new thing. I think next time I go to the trade shows, I'm going to get some disposable shot glasses and make sure I got a bottle of that. Bring
You
a
want
couple
to be
down to the
popular
States.
man
I'm
on
not
the
doing
trade floor.
AHR this year, but I'll do it next year.
I mean, if you want to be the most popular man on the trade show, so the next phase is we got to go to a place that has like an outdoor veranda, and you know, you can't smoke weed inside the trade show that I'm aware of anyway. But it is federally legal in Canada, so there's nothing that Asian guy can say about it because you know that's it, right? So that'll be the next phase of the game. That was a great time.
Definitely
We had a
made
great
for an
time.
interesting show, that was for sure.
What's that?
That it definitely made for an interesting show, especially seeing how we were doing that directly across from the bar.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, you know, well, we also had a popular booth. It was a bunch of guys who were loud and having a good time. You know, by loud, I mean, we were, you know, we were all, it was me, it was you, it was Rob from Pro West and Dan and Matt Jorfy was there for a little while. I mean, we had a full booth of people and we were having a good time. It was, you know, whatever. We were laughing and selling vent product and whatever. And it just turns out that you can't have an open alcohol container with a, you know, at the BMO center. Apparently, I don't know. We were one drink short of those guys on the horses riding in and taking Dan away in custody.
It's a callback to the beginning of the.
Yeah, they were gonna.
Very well done.
We were all just saying, hey, look,
So
Dan, he is the ringleader. We were all just pointing our finger right at Dan. Like, it's him. That's it. If any law must be adjudicated, bring down the hammer of justice on Dan
The
Smith.
Canadian citizen.
On Dan Smith. That's it. No, not
Well,
gunman.
Matt, fair's fair. I told my story. You got to tell him why there's a new Centrotherm jingle.
Oh, that's true. That's another one too. Is the Centrotherm jingle?
That I did see.
That was I mean, that was amazing because we were just having a few chuckles over by the where the band was.
Yeah.
And
I
mean,
do remember that.
So the real true story about that is I was chatting with the band guys prior to, a music guy as well, whatever, and talking about his guitar and like looking at the PA system he was going to use and just sort of hobnobbing with them. And then, as it is customary, when they complete a number, you clap for the guys, right? And so they shouldn't have had a band there. It was pretty superfluous. It was kind of loud. Nobody's even paying attention to them, except for me, except for a couple of us, right? So I start clapping and whooping, and they acknowledged this, and then of course they sang a little Centrotherm song about our booth and flue gas venting needs and what have you.
It's a beautiful thing.
So it was great, and that one's also immortalized, and I have that video clip as well. We're going to be doing a few drop-ins here to add to the media here, but. Finally, we'll come to this is the last question here. We'll let you go for the rest of the day. Oh, go ahead.
Maybe it lasts.
Well, again, it's a stat holiday.
I got nothing but
time.
boys. I got nothing but time.
Okay, so you're Alberta. Alberta has a special place in my heart. Are you an Oilers fan or a Calgary fan?
Honestly, I don't really care about sports.
Okay, fair enough. So you will adopt you into the Edmonton Oilers family. So welcome to the team.
There you go.
All right, fair enough. Don't tell your Calgary people about that. He lives in Calgary, so
I know that. That's why I asked the question.
I would say go.
But there's people that south of Calgary are a bunch of Oiler fans. Did you know that?
I mean,
I would say that the rivalry is more friendly than it is bitter in anything.
Yeah.
Like we have, you can get car license plates with the Flames or the Oilers here, and Calgary people will drive around with Edmonton ones on, Oilers ones on pretty proudly. So it's not all that heated up here.
Yeah, I mean, neither of these teams have won anything in 40 years. So and in the Flames career, they've never won anything. So and Edmonton hasn't been good since I was catheterized.
They were in the Stanley Cup last year. What do you mean?
Oh, were they?
They were.
They didn't win.
They didn't win, but they were
They
there.
didn't win nothing. They didn't nothing.
All right, ask the last question. We typically ask this question of everybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll leave that one to you. So my question was more about who you look to for like influence, or rather inspiration. Who do you learn from? I mean, we're all kind of playing on social media these days, and we as a manufacturer, I share all the great installs, so I know who I like learn from personally on the hydronic side, tankless water heater side, et cetera, et cetera. Who's an inspiration to you? Who do you turn to learn from, whether it's in your own particular niche area or sort of just in general? And it could be, mindset or inspiration that's beyond the technical tools or the technical day-to-day for your personal needs. I'm just curious as to when you open up your phone, who do you see that's like, oh, this is quality material from, I don't know, Mike Mayberry comes to mind as another legend of refrigeration. So I don't know if that's an answer for you, but yeah. Who else?
There's basically in a real local situation, I've got a really good team around me. What we call technical sales director that's directly above me is a massively intelligent individual, of the old school, doesn't do anything on social media or understand it. In a broad term, I'm big on podcasts. I think you can get a lot of knowledge, particularly somebody like me that we're locked in compressor rooms that are loud all day. We don't have conversations. You might as well have headphones in trying to learn something. So I listen to a lot of stuff like the Controls podcast, the Advanced Refrigeration podcast, the Refrigeration Mentor.
That's Craig Biliaccio?
Yeah, Craig and
he sat next to us.
Yeah, I remember.
He won. So that podcast won podcast of the year, I want to say 2 years ago, and we were sitting at the table with Craig, right next to him when he won.
They put us in the same class, the Mechanical Room podcast.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I think that I do have people that I follow strictly for the refrigeration side, but keeping a vast group that I do follow and consider, you can learn a whole bunch of stuff, even in your day-to-day stuff. Guys that are in completely different situations, guys that can bend pipe way better than me, that have tips that they keep giving out. I like looking at people's installs. Some of the stuff that comes up that, you guys would show me your pipes and stuff like that. Those are installs that I could only dream to make them look that good. And it makes me think every time I put a pipe in, like, would I want somebody to see it? So I think, honestly, most of the community is where I would support as far as where I'm at with stuff. It's a lot of people that aren't online. It's a lot of manufacturers that actually answer the phone for stupid technical questions. So
Who does a good job
I'm
of
not
that?
the greatest with it. Huh?
Who's got the good customer
Copeland's actually pretty good. I have a really good in at Hill Phoenix, so I get some help with that. I'm dealing with Bitzler. They're coming. They're RSL, our local supply house. I got 3 or 4 guys in there that are absolutely 100% bulletproof individuals.
But those are supply house people, right? They're helping you there, not RLS personnel.
No, RSL is our biggest supplier.
I'm
Refrigeration
sorry.
supply
I'm thinking in my head. I'm thinking RLS, right? Does that's refrigeration?
That's the pressing. Right? I've actually never done it. I really want to try some of it.
You're more of a soldering person then?
There's that, and yeah, the tools are expensive. I've never worked for a company that's had them. We're moving into having them for no flame situations.
Interesting.
So we have some chemical plants and things that we work on.
So you would try pressing, but you've not done it yet.
8+hour fire watches. Yeah, I haven't done it yet.
Fascinating. All right, well, conclude it with this one.
Last question. We actually, when we were chit-chatting when you first came on board, we always typically ask, what's your go-to style of music?
My go-to style of music is old school punk and ska.
The old school what?
Punk and ska.
Ah, wow. Okay.
Indeed. I know you. I think we have a new Fishbone fan on the other end of this.
Yes.
Yeah,
a new Fishbone fan.
But I listen to a bunch of really weird stuff, goofy stuff. Another one I really enjoy is Ailstorm, which is a Scottish pirate metal band. They're pretty entertaining. They do a really good live show.
I've not heard of them. I got to check them out.
Yeah, he was telling me about them in Calgary.
Ailstorm?
Ailstorm, yeah.
Ale, like as in beer.
Ah, Ailstorm.
It's cool. It's pirate themed stuff. It's the kind of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'll have to check it out.
We were chatting about this. Are you a Voodoo Glow Skulls fan by any chance?
I have not heard of them, no.
Oh, you might like them. You might like them as well.
I'm just waiting for the email where you send me the must listen to list.
I'll do that. I will do that.
Got a lot more of that than I do.
We got to trade back and forth. So I'm curious. He named a few bands that I had never heard of before. He gave me some recommendations that I've been listening to, and vice versa. So that's what it's all about.
Indeed. While you're drinking your maple syrup whiskey.
Exactly. We were just singing Tragically Hip the whole time.
Okay.
Do you know them?
I do.
Okay, that's like
I can't say that I'm a big fan, but
that's like a Canadian band through and through. Like way bigger in Canada. Never really made it too big in the States, but like is Gord is a saint in Canada. I don't know how you feel about them. I know that's
for his final concert. That just speaks of the man.
Say it one more time.
What he did for his final concert.
Yeah.
Right, to basically go to the national television company and broadcast the concert live for his last ever concert, where those could have been $1,000 a seat tickets.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why the hip is very well thought of and remains so. It's kind of like almost an in secret for Canada, though, which is good and bad, I suppose.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we gave you Nickelback, but we kept the hip.
Well, you can mock our dear friend Dan next time you see him, because he is a legitimate fan of the Nickelback.
He's a big Nickelback fan.
So
they're not that bad. Come on.
It's just cheesy.
They're not that bad. It's just fun to lace on them. That's all.
I mean, they're cheesy. So he listens to punk music, which is so much more about what they're saying.
Yeah.
And it's function over form is like is what punk is about, right? Like not in all cases, and there are certainly talented musicians that are in the punk universe, but it's more about the attitude, and it's more about the message and whatnot. Nobody would ever say that the Ramones are one of the best bands ever. Nobody say that they're the most amazing musicians, because that's sort of a side note to it. Nickelback is both bad at the instruments and also has no message. So
Don't tell Dan that.
They had to get the radio play.
yeah, that's
They
what
do.
are.
They do.
No, they're not nearly as bad as what people, as the punchline that they're made out to be, because they're just they're kind of a say nothing generic rock band without any real particular insight or messaging, nothing particularly special about them. And that's my take on them.
Yeah, and they're from a farm town in Alberta. They're not far. They're from not far from here.
I like that.
Okay. I knew they were Canadian. I didn't know where.
I did not
they
know
were
that.
from.
I didn't know that either.
Forget the name of the town.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for taking time. Enjoy your stat holiday. We appreciate you taking time with us.
I think you have
Thank you for having me.
early Christmas on your way. I believe that package went out a couple days ago, so you should be getting some goodies, pretty soon. So we've been all over, up and down, through Alberta, down to the depths of Viking hell with Manowar and back.
I'm still laughing.
We're here in the Blue Room, where really no topic is off limits per se.
Obviously.
And we chatted with Ty live from. He's off today. Canada's is off on this particular Monday when we're recording this. Obviously, when you're watching this later on, it'll be a few days later. But he took us through some really fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
I know where you come from. Most of your work history is on the electrical side until you became a flue gas vent sales powerhouse.
Enthusiast.
I'm going with sales powerhouse. We enthusiast as well. But how much? So when you worked with Schneider, obviously electrical is involved with industrial as well.
Sure.
How much of that was new to you in terms of refrigeration stuff?
Well, most of it.
Most of it.
We look at a lot of refrigeration, right? A lot of the kind of the tradespeople that we deal with, that we follow, do refrigeration work. So you follow along, but I don't know
a butt against it.
Yeah, but I didn't know the nuances, and I'm very fascinated with the change that's coming with the with the refrigeration type. Talking to a lot of distributors and how they're preparing old equipment and what they have in stock and how they're preparing for the new equipment. It's quite fascinating, and it ripples into the hydronic side, into the water heater side, because any piece of shelf space that they use for new refrigeration or loading up with the old refrigeration it takes away from what they can allocate for other things, whether they be boilers or venting or other things. So it's fascinating to see how the industry deals with the transition.
You gave me another thought. I wish we had more time and more resources to expand this program, the mechanical room that is, because something we didn't talk about at all, because that's not Ty's area of expertise, I think, is air conditioning, which is obviously in the universe of refrigeration, but is something completely different.
Still needs a refrigerant, the new refrigerant.
So that's where I'm going. I'm curious to get somebody, maybe Ben Poole, somebody who knows about AC, to talk about his side.
HVAC Jess, Ben Poole.
Right. I'm just. I guess what I'm struggling to put into words here is, how does it affect a residential AC person, an industrial AC person, because that's a different story to cool down a hotel.
It's changing their world.
And then versus, like a cheese dairy plant that's twice the size of our building here versus, a grocery store, which, they're not like maybe half the size of this building, right? So the machinery is different, the need for refrigeration is different, the humidification
is different.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by all of that. It's just not a space that we work in at all, right? I have this much understanding of heating. Obviously it's a universe that goes far beyond our little slice of the accessory line universe, right? But being adjacent to tankless water heaters and furnaces and stuff like that, you just end up picking up a little bit more of it, right? I don't know shit about refrigeration or air conditioning, except that I need them both to live comfortable, to be comfortable.
Especially AC.
Oh boy, do I need AC. So I would be interested to like sit somebody like Ty and then sit someone like Jess together and see how this A2L stuff, because it's the only thing that Hardy talks about these days.
It's a big deal. It's a big change.
You know, so it is a huge industry situation that is like kind of on our periphery, not obviously in the beating heart of hydronics, let's say. But
again, it's all tied together, right? Distributed.
Of course,
even down to the shelf space at a distributor.
Right. I mean, they'll be next to each other. I mean, that was one of my. I'm curious about a furnace producing heat next to the AC unit that's, I guess, throwing a little bit heat. It produces heat as it cools a little bit to exhaust. I mean, I'm just fascinated by the complicated, choreography of the mechanical room overall, and that's why Ty was a great guest, because we've not had somebody like that.
It's a little different from what we've had in the past.
We've had some commercial hydronic type people, but when I was in Alberta, I was with the legendary Bob Baker, and he took me to a mechanical room for what is, I don't know, a 10-story, 12-story hotel, a giant thing that had 2 massive Lars boilers that were easily the width of this room stacked on top of each other, and that, although I have no idea really how it all runs, I could wrap my head around that. Where is the AC? Was it in that room somewhere hidden that I didn't notice? Is it on the roof? Is it a completely different dedicated mechanical room? I mean, this is the song and dance that me as a layperson, I'm always fascinated by that type of stuff. And I was very much in awe of Bob and his son troubleshooting. I mean, they were there to do maintenance at this hotel chain, so there wasn't, they were replacing stuff. They were troubleshooting and checking, gauges and stuff. And then talking about a massive cheese curd factory, essentially.
Yeah, a city block.
It just blows my mind.
They need that cheese curd for the poutine we were talking about earlier.
Shipping it right over from...
Delectable.
Ty's keeping it nice and frosty so that they can heat it up and throw it in the gravy for you on the other side of the country.
It's wonderful.
That's it. And then, of course, we talked about those the reefer trucks, too, that operate in the Wild West.
Yes.
Somebody else has got to fix that one.
Yes. Thermo King.
Excellent. Well, another successful mechanical room, I'd say.
Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned. We'll have probably one more. We're going to do a Christmas special.
I think we should do another logo challenge, because that was a lot of fun.
Boy, I would be. I don't know if I could perform to that level.
Well,
again.
You're the defending champ, so the pressure's on, sir.
Yes.
And we're gonna.
I'm pretty good with logos.
And you
I'm
should
visually pretty. Connected.
Also, you should try again to kind of gear them towards him. Also, I'm talking to Jordan, of
Oh,
course,
come
right
on.
now. No, that was what that was.
Geared for me?
Oh my God!
Come on, NVIDIA. I'm just lucky as hell to
Jordan,
pick that
did you
one.
or did you not give him a little edge with what you selected?
With like 3.
I mean,
There was
well,
like 3 logos.
Okay. Oh, okay. And then I think
the gauntlet. Back to Man of War.
Yeah.
The gauntlet has been thrown
listen,
down.
we should wear the outfits when we do this game.
But yes,
Wear my helmet.
technically there was a slight edge.
Well, the NVIDIA one was stroke of luck. That was a random one, but I would have got that one. But you beat me in on the time wise as well.
I was very lucky with the NVIDIA one.
You got me on speed, and also, I mean, you just beat me straight up. And then the corporate ones, like, I didn't know TaylorMade, the golf one.
Yeah, that.
I mean,
I'm not a big golfer, but I know TaylorMade.
I didn't know that one. Was there an airline? I forget. We'll have to go look at the tapes. But let's do that again, because I think that was a lot of fun. We'll get the little buzzers out, and then
Do we still have them?
I think they're in the closet over there somewhere. Right, so I think it was fun.
It was fun.
So I'm happy to do that.
A lot of pressure.
Well, we should do
now
it again.
Now will be even more pressure.
And now and keep the same topics, right? So just swap out logos. I think we had OEMs, right?
Yes.
So that was a good one. We had tankless brands, I think, or water heater brands, whatever was one of them.
Yes, I missed the triangle tube.
And then there was influencer ones.
Yes.
And
then
you
got me on that one. That one is
no. I think it was like 3-2. It was even. It was close because of speed.
Yeah.
You know, we knew them all.
Yeah.
But we buzzing in was the issue. I think was part of it. So I forget. I think we had 4 ones. We had we had do another one for our reps too. So it was
yes, we had a rep one. Yep.
Reps, OEMs, general miscellaneous, and we had. Was it bands, or did you include band logos in?
I don't think band logos was a section.
Queen was one of the Queen. The Queen logo was one of them. Yeah.
So you should do one that's just music.
So I'll nail it on the metal side, but I'll fail on the others.
So
that's okay. Put it in there.
Make them popular enough that we should know them. I mean, if you must. I mean, we'll get the mop in here and we can clean up the puke while we answer this question. It's fine. I mean, but we could play logo games around her as well. But obviously now we can keep it around. But I think that'd be good. And we'll do the
Join us. The gauntlet has been thrown down.
That's good.
Peace out.